for it, download the KBLA 1580 app right now. I'm Tavis Smiley, and I approve this message.
Please.
Here it is, a groove slightly transformed. Just a bit of a break from the norm. Just a little something to break the monotony of all that hardcore dance that has gotten to be a little bit out of control. It's cool to dance, but what about a groove that soothes and moves romance? Give me a soft, subtle mix, and if it ain't broke, then don't try to fix it. And think of the summers of the past. Adjust the bass and let the Alpine blast. Pop in my CD and let me run a rhyme and put your car on cruise and lay back, cause it's summertime.
We are holding on to that little bit of summer left. You're listening to First Things First on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm not Dominique DiPrima. I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte, filling in for the great Dominique DiPrima. And we have an incredible show in line for you. But first things first, get it? Be sure to download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or simply tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580. And like magic, there we are for your listening pleasure. Also, be sure to tap into my show, which is right here on KBLA Talk 1580, weekdays at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. It's called A More Perfect Union. From the White House to your house, we got you covered with expert analysis and critical conversations from leaders on the front lines. And especially with this topsy-turvy final stretch of the 2024 election cycle, we are a trusted source that you can lean on. And so tap into A More Perfect Union. And if you can't listen to us live or on demand, you can always subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast powered by KBLA Talk 1580, the only Black-owned and operated talk station west of the Mississippi. And in addition to my work between Washington, D.C. and L.A., you might have heard that I recently wrote a book called Kamala, the Motherland, and Me. Yes, Kamala as in Kamala Harris. I had a chance to travel to the motherland with the Vice President and the U.S. Press Corps to cover her historic trip before anybody knew that she'd become the Democratic nominee for president. I had a chance to travel with her to Ghana, Tanzania, and Zambia. And learned a lot. And so I wrote this book as an invitation to challenge your assumptions about Madam Vice President, Africa, and ourselves. And so for those of you that have helped to make it an Amazon bestseller, thank you, thank you, thank you. For those of you that haven't yet logged on to Amazon or Barnes & Nobles or anywhere books are sold, please do. It's an invitation to join this journey. And it feels good. It feels good to officially become an author. I mean, think about your favorite book, and think about what it must have taken for that author to bring that story to life. I certainly did not intend to go on this trip and come back and write a book, but as I was going through my notes, I couldn't ignore how incredible a journey this was, and believed I had a duty to commit this story to the written page. And so it's not just me that has that experience. I think there are a lot of authors out there that have a similar experience. And I'm really delighted that this morning we're going to have a chance to talk to one of those authors. His name is Luis J. Rodriguez. He was born in El Paso, Texas. He grew up in Watts and East Los Angeles, where his family faced poverty and discrimination. Gang member and a drug user at the age of 12. By the time he turned 18, Rodriguez had lost 25, count 'em, 25 of his friends to gang violence, drug overdoses, shootings, and suicide. He wrote 2 autobiographical accounts of his experiences with gang violence and addiction. It's called It Calls You Back, an Odyssey Through Love, Addiction, Revolutions, and Healing, which, might I add, is the winner of the National Book Critics Circle Award for autobiography, and Always Running, La Vida Loca, Gang Days in LA. 2 incredible books. We're going to talk about those for the remainder of this hour. Luis Rodriguez is a journalist and a critic. He's also founder of Tia Chucha Press, which publishes emerging socially conscious poets. I am really excited to be in conversation with Luis. But first, a few headlines that are trending. Look, we are committed here on KBLA Talk 1580 with providing you with important news, not noise. And with that, I saw this morning that NPR is reporting that evangelicals are trying to make the case for VP Harris. You might remember that Donald Trump won the support of more than 80% of white evangelicals in 2016 and 2020, but a new group is trying hard to push some of those voters towards Democratic nominee Vice President Kamala Harris. The Political Action Committee, Evangelicals for Harris, is running a series of digital ads, including one that shows an archival video of the late evangelical preacher Billy Graham, in which he asks, quotes, "Have you been to the cross and said, 'Lord, I have sinned'?" Those words are juxtaposed with a video of Trump being asked during a public appearance in 2015, "Have you ever asked God for forgiveness?" Now, Trump responds, quotes, "I'm not sure I have. I don't bring God into that picture. I don't." You see, Evangelicals for Harris is also running an ad on various digital platforms, including YouTube, that features Kamala Harris speaking about her beliefs. It's called Fruits of the Spirit, and includes Harris saying during a speech, quotes, "Faith motivates action. It lifts us up and it gives us purpose." In addition to those online ads, the group is working with local activists to hold in-person events in swing states. One of those leaders is self-described evangelical Christian and Milwaukee resident Patricia Ruiz Cantu. Ruiz Cantu knows that some evangelical voters may disagree with Harris on her abortion stance, but she believes those same voters, the same ones, can be swayed over other issues deeply rooted in Christian tradition. We are witnessing something that I don't think we've seen, certainly not in my lifetime. Republicans for Harris, Nikki Haley voters for Harris, now evangelicals for Harris. We've seen a number of conservatives that in years past had supported Bush and Romney and McCain coming out in support of Vice President Harris. We just saw the son of John McCain throw his support behind Harris, especially after the Arlington National Cemetery embarrassment involving the former President Trump. There's something in the air. There's something afoot that we don't see very often. For so long, we saw sort of, headline after headline, really talking about sort of Americans being at each other's throats. Remember in 2016 when so many people talked about how uncomfortable their Thanksgiving and holiday season was, having to face relatives, that may have supported Trump. If the current trend holds, it may be a very different Thanksgiving, maybe a very different holiday season when we gather with our families following this election. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but we do want to note that there is something in the air. When we come forward, Luis Rodriguez, author Luis Rodriguez, will be right here with us. You're listening to First Things First with Dominique DiPrima. I'm your guest host, Dr. Nicolai Corte. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
Tavis Smiley's new book, The Covenant with Black America, 20 years later, is now on sale everywhere. This classic text shot to #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list almost 2 decades ago. If you have the original book, you will surely want to get this 20th anniversary edition with powerful new contributions from today's leading voices. This 20th anniversary edition presents a compelling blend of historical insights and contemporary urgency in this critical and unprecedented election year. Get your copy of The Covenant with Black America 20 years later today.
Are you wet shaving? You'll get razor bumps.
Nah, Pops, I'm good with Gillette Skin Guard. How long you been growing that beard Mama hates anyway?
Since 77. I shaved and got ingrown so bad.
That's why I use the Gillette Skin Guard razor, face scrub, shave gel, and moisturizer. So I don't have to worry about new razor bumps or shaving irritation.
Gillette Skin Guard, huh? Your mama's gonna love this one.
The best a man can get keeps getting better with Gillette Skin Guard. Buy now at a retailer near
I
you.
spray and scrub, but the soap scum in my bathtub is still there.
I spray and scrub, but the burnt sauce on my stovetop sticks around.
Sprays can leave grime behind, but Mr. Clean Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser combines the scrubbing power of an eraser with the cleaning power of Dawn to melt away tough messes on contact.
Just wet, squeeze, and erase.
Stop spraying, start erasing, and clean with more magic than ever with Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Hey, checking in?
This is not just your flu shot appointment at Walgreens.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is getting your entire family vaccinated in one trip.
Hey, Mom?
And a snack on the way out. Get flu shots for everyone in your family, together. Schedule appointments online today. This is wellness made easy. Walgreens.
Vaccine subject to availability and for ages 3+. State and health-related restrictions may apply.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery on select smart beds when you add any base. Ends Labor Day. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to First Things First with Dominique DiPrima. I'm your guest host, Dr. Nicolai Corte, and delighted to welcome to the show Luis J. Rodriguez. He is author of 2 incredible books. One of them is called It Calls You Back, An Odyssey Through Love, Addiction, Revolutions, and Healing. I want to note that it's the winner of the National Book Critics Circle Award for Autobiography, and he's also the author of Always Running, La Vida Loca, Gang Days in LA. Welcome to the show, Luis.
Thank you very much. My pleasure, Dr. Corte.
Well, it's great to have you here. It's great to be in community with another author. Talk to us about what inspired you to commit your story to the page. You know, we live in a media world where there are so many different platforms that one can use to tell their story. You know, podcasts are popular. You know, Broadway is making a resurgence, and everything in between. What made you say, I'm going to commit this to the page first?
Well, as you know, we were seeing this great rise of anti-gang, millions of dollars being put in putting kids away. We're seeing the rise of mass incarceration, as you know, especially in the 80s and 90s. I needed to personalize what that meant because, you know, people weren't able to understand the impact of billions of dollars, well, millions of dollars into putting people away and just forgetting them. Years and years, 30, 40, 50 years for crimes that normally didn't have that amount of time. And so the personal story was that why a young person like me would join a gang. And the 2 big gang capitals of the country were really Los Angeles and Chicago. And what people don't know is that those are the 2 most industrial cities. People don't think of LA as industrial, but it still is the largest manufacturing region. And in those days, if you might remember, LA had steel mills, had tire companies, they had aerospace, they had defense industry, it had a lot of oil and chemical refineries, shipyards. Still is today the largest in the country. We were impacted by industry, but it was going away, as you probably remember. I was around in the 80s when that industry left LA. All the steel mills, I worked at Best M Steel. I worked at paper mills. I worked at a GM auto plant in Southgate. In other words, I was part of that industry and I saw it just leave. And people don't realize the impact that this had in our communities because the economic rug had been pulled from under us. Black and brown communities that were, for the first time, especially in the 60s and 70s, beginning to get into industry, maybe some skilled jobs, maybe get enough pay union job where you can buy a house. You know what I'm saying? And it all got pulled from under us. So these two cities ended up with the worst gang problem because they were both being deindustrialized. And gangs, which were not really criminal enterprises as much, became that because, as you know, and coincidentally or whatever, crack comes in. Drugs went from all kinds of things, and then crack comes in. And then the guns proliferated in these communities, guns that we didn't manufacture. Anyway, I wanted to personalize that story because I got caught up in it. I saw what happened, and I saw after I left the gang how it got worse.
Yeah, personalizing that story, I mean, it really created an entry point, for people who, don't even see the convergence of these issues. And I really like how you laid it out and really gave us context, right? I think sometimes people think that,
right,
gang members just kind of fall off of a turnip truck. And you're saying the opposite, that there were conditions on the ground that led for folks to get involved and engage with gang life, including but not limited, just sort of changes in industry, and access, to resources, and crime is not just about bad people doing bad things. It's more to that.
Yeah, and I think we get caught in these traps. I got caught in it. Young people, prior to, I guess, 1970, it may be different for different people. Gangs weren't really gangs. I don't know if you can understand. I'm sure you understand. They were clubs. They were social clubs. They were barrios. They were sets. They were community guys hanging out. Some of them were already involved in crime. Some of them had weapons. But something happened, especially after the Watts Rebellion, martial law in the Black and brown communities, and then it got, especially in East LA, after the East LA Chicano moratorium against the Vietnam War, which the sheriff's deputies used to attack the whole community and pretty much kept people under curfews and everything else. All of a sudden, the violence escalated, and I witnessed it. I was around the gangs in the late 60s and 70s. It used to, we would fight. If we had a fight, we would maybe use knives, maybe use some bats or something. It wasn't cool, but all of a sudden, people were doing drive-bys. And LA was one of the pioneering cities that used drive-bys as a regular thing. And I think it was this proliferation of guns and also heroin coming in, which I think destroyed a lot of the camaraderie that we might have had in a neighborhood set or a neighborhood barrio, you know what I mean? And I began to see how mass incarceration picked itself up starting in the early 70s, and it got worse in the 80s. And when you witness this from the inside and out, because I was in and out of jails, I was in juvenile hall, I was in 2 adult facilities, I could witness something was changing. And it helped politicize me. It may not have helped a lot of other people, but me in particular, it wasn't just me. It was a number of Black people and brown people that were getting politicized through the system. We could see that we're being used. You know what I'm saying? We were being played. Mm-hmm. We were playing ourselves. We were also playing ourselves. We fell into it. I understood that I played into it. This is why I removed myself. I was on heroin for 7 years. I had done violent acts. I had done criminal acts. I got myself completely out of that because I didn't want to be used that way. But I could see what was happening, and it was very evident to me. And I saw it also when I lived in Chicago for 15 years. I saw it happen the same way at the same time in Chicago.
Let's talk a little bit about your healing journey, because there aren't a lot of people that have been on heroin for 7 years and live to talk about it, let alone, write a book about it, let alone sit on the airwaves and inspire other people who may be struggling with addiction, who, may not see the other side of addiction. And so talk to us a little bit about your healing journey. Oftentimes, things get worse before they get better. But I would imagine that it was probably hard. It probably would have been impossible for you to write this book if you hadn't taken that healing journey. And so, talk to us about as you do a look back on that journey that gave way to this beautiful book, this beautiful story. What are some highlights from your healing journey that you want to share with our listeners today?
Well, I think there was a couple of things. One is I was homeless for 3 years, living in the street, mugging people. It's in my book. I don't mind repeating what I had done. But my refuge was at Central Public Library downtown. A lot of us love to read. People think gang members are dumb. We weren't, actually. We were very smart. Reading was a great, important saving grace for me. I don't know why I loved to read. When I was 6 years old, a teacher in Watts, a white teacher, slapped me across the face because I uttered some Spanish words. I was voiceless for so long. But I found my imagination got fired up when I read books, when I learned English and I started reading books. So that was important because I started reading, especially the Black Power books of the 60s and 70s, Malcolm X and George Jackson and Eldridge Cleaver and James Baldwin. Those books were all coming out. The poets, Nikki Giovanni and Donnell Lee and Amiri Baraka. He was Leroy Jones. There wasn't Chicano books, unfortunately, but these Black books really opened up my mind. I think I was saved by both the movement as well as that. The second thing that helped me was I had a mentor. And it's kind of interesting word. We never used that word. I don't even think this guy knew he was a mentor. I don't think he knew what mentoring was. What he was is a Chicano activist who came to this youth center that we had in my neighborhood and saw me. And instead of seeing a vandal, I was doing a lot of graffiti. Instead of seeing a criminal, a bad news kid, he saw a writer, he saw an artist. He saw somebody he could work with. And he never gave up on me, even though for the longest time I told him to drop dead. You know how that is. Get out of here. I don't want anything to do with you. But he just kept hanging around, but also opening my mind. Like I would paint these graffiti. I was doing graffiti, gang graffiti. Pretty intricate stuff. It wasn't tagging. But he would say, why don't you paint murals? Learn to paint murals. Put like the Mexican muralists, Sigueros, Orozco, Clemente, and I didn't know who these people were. And he gave me a book with these Mexican murals, and at the back of the book were these Mayan temples that had murals in and out. They recreated the murals, before they became ruins. It was a revelation. Nobody had ever taught me that. You know what I'm saying? So I think a mentor plays a big role. Somebody that can see a young person, see their asset. You can see their deficits. It's very clear. But underneath every young person is a genius, I think. And you have to find what that is. And he was able to do that. And I'll add one last thing. He didn't so much save me because I think that happens. But I think what he did, he gave me resources, imagination, connections, tools to save myself. To me, that was the key. Because I couldn't leave heroin if he hadn't done that. Heroin, and like a lot of us, we loved it in the sense it was a numb escape. It was the peace of death in life. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And something bigger had to come in for me to say, I'm not going to be using heroin anymore. Something bigger, because otherwise it's hard to leave. I saw so many people die, overdoses. and many of my homies stayed heroin addicts for 20, 30 years. I left early on because of I had that vision. It had to be more powerful than the heroin, which is very hard to imagine. Mm-hmm. It had to be something bigger. If not, you're just going to stay with it, you know.
Wow. That is an incredible journey, and thank you for being so generous with sharing those gems, those nuggets, those insights from your healing journey. You have no doubt, I'm sure, this morning encouraged somebody else and bless somebody else by sharing your journey. Being on heroin for 7 years, being homeless for 3 years, but finding refuge in the Central Public Library of Los Angeles, and through reading and through tapping into your imagination, through being a part of something bigger than yourself, the Chicano movement, the Black Power movement, and through books. That is part of how you are here with us today. When we come forward, we're talking with author Luis Rodriguez. He's author of It Calls You Back, An Odyssey Through Love, Addiction, Revolutions, and Healing. He's also the author of Always Running, La Vida Loca, Gang Days in LA. When we come forward, I want to talk to Luis about all the work that's afoot, some of the headlines that are afoot related to homelessness. I want to get his take on that. And then we're going to learn about his organization, Tia Chucha Press, and what they're working on. You're listening to First Things First with Dominique DiPrima right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. In Illinois, a Chicago man is expected to appear in court today after he was accused of gunning down 4 people sleeping on a train. Ronnie Davis, who is African American, is charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder. Cook County State's Attorney Kim Fox says the crime was a random attack. Vice President Kamala Harris is expected to announce an economic proposal to help small businesses today. Harris will be on the campaign trail in New Hampshire, where she'll outline proposed tax deductions for small business startups. Chase Bank says a viral TikTok trend is check fraud. Over the weekend, videos on TikTok showed users depositing fake checks for large amounts of money and quickly withdrawing the cash from their accounts. Some users claimed a glitch in the bank systems allowed the people to get the cash. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Hey DQ fans, mark your calendars. Thursday, July 25th is Miracle Treat Day 2024. $1 or more of every Blizzard treat sold at participating DQ locations benefits your local children's hospital. Remember, July 25th, only at DQ. Happy tastes good.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. At Blindster, we offer custom-made faux wood and real wood blinds and shutters, cellular shades, Roman shades, bamboo shades, exterior shades, and more, all at factory direct prices. Don't pay too much for new blinds. Go to Blindster.com.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Francis Tiafoe is edging closer to his first Grand Slam tennis championship. The 26-year-old African-American star advanced to the semifinals of the U.S. Open. Tiafoe was leading Grigor Dimitrov of Bulgaria when Dimitrov quit the match in the 4th set because of an injury. Tiafoe had a 4-1 lead in the 4th set and had won 2 of the first 3 sets. The native of Hyattsville, Maryland, will play fellow American Taylor Fritz in Friday's semifinals. Tiafoe is trying to become the first African-American male to win the U.S. Open since Arthur Ashe in 1968. He's also trying to become the first American male to win the U.S. Open since Andy Roddick in 2006. Mookie Betts hit a 3-run homer in the 10th inning to spark the Dodgers to a 6-2 win over the Angels Tuesday night in Anaheim. A sellout crowd of over 44,000 filled Anaheim Stadium to see the return of Dodger star Shohei Ohtani. The Japanese icon played his first 6 seasons with the Angels. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
I need you, dollar, that's what I need.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates small businesses, the enduring lifeblood of our community, with the launch of the KBLA SMB Marketplace. For the first time, small to medium-sized businesses will have an opportunity to promote their goods and services on KBLA and take advantage of our powerful reach and local marketing power. The SMB Marketplace is hosted exclusively on KBLA1580.com and is accessible from all our social media channels. Whether you're a small mom and pop restaurant, a car dealership, or a professional practitioner, we invite you to join in this new KBLA Talk 1580 initiative to promote your business. As a Black-owned small business, you don't want to miss this unique opportunity to gain new customers on KBLA Talk 1580. For more information, contact us today at smb@kbla1580.com. That's smb@kbla1580.com. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
And if I share with you my story, would you share your shadow with me? Time to get paid.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
The moment we've all been waiting for has finally arrived. On Tuesday, September 10th at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump will square off in their first ever presidential debate. KBLA Talk 1580 and the Empowerment Congress are hosting a viewing party, and we're inviting you to join us for an evening of civic engagement, great food, and good vibes. Our studio space is limited, but if you would like to join us, just go to our website at kbla1580.com and register for your chance to watch this historic presidential debate with us. Years from now, we're all likely to remember exactly where we were when this pivotal moment in American politics unfolded. So, register for your chance to join us by going to kbla1580.com right now. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
Hey!
You're listening to First Things First with Dominique DiPrima. I'm your guest host, Dr. Nicordelai Corte. You can find me weekdays right here on KBLA Talk 1580 as host and chief White House correspondent for A More Perfect Union. We can be heard right here, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, weekdays. Just download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or simply tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580. I am also the author of Kamala, the Motherland, and Me. It's out. Came out July 23rd. Many thanks to each and every one of you for making it an Amazon bestseller. Continue to spread the word and tell your friends, and take this invitation to challenge your assumptions about Madam Vice President, Africa, and ourselves. I count myself really fortunate to be a part of the community of authors. And speaking of authors, today we're talking to Luis Rodriguez. He is author of It Calls You Back, an odyssey through love, addiction, revolutions, and healing. He's winner of the National Book Critics Circle Award for autobiography, not easy to get. And as if that wasn't enough, he's also the author of Always Running, La Vida Loca, Gang Days in LA. Welcome back to the show, Luis.
Thank you very much.
And so before the break, you were sharing a little bit about your extraordinary journey, which you share so generously in your book, where you talk about, being heroin addicted for 7 years, being homeless for 3 years, but being able to find that sort of light at the end of the tunnel by seeking refuge at the Central Public Library in LA. And I really appreciate you for, sort of dispelling this idea that the unhoused somehow don't read, or, gang members don't read. You're saying it's actually quite the opposite. And having you here, I want to get your take on some of the more recent headlines that we've seen around homelessness, particularly in LA City and LA County. I'm sure you're familiar with Governor Gavin Newsom and sort of the kerfuffle between him and some local leaders in LA that are saying, look, we like the idea of clearing out encampments, but we don't want to criminalize people.
Right.
We don't want to be in the business of filling our LA County jails with people who would be arrested simply for sleeping, in public spaces. And so I want to get an idea of your take as somebody who once was one of those folks, right? What say you about this back and forth between the governor and local leaders in LA County?
Well, I've been kind of working with the Union of the Homeless here in the state of California. And in Sacramento, they had this big battle where now the encampments have been pushed out. And exactly what you're saying, they're not given what they need, which is decent homes. And I do think that housing in California, especially with big developers, has become one of the most corrupt aspects. I was just reading an article where the biggest corruption stories in California have to do with big developers, where we've allowed this to happen. I don't agree with Governor Newsom, like you're saying, just keeping the encampments out without actually creating homes. We need affordable, decent homes for everybody. And I almost get to the point where housing shouldn't even be a luxury thing. It should be a right. Everyone should have one. And we don't have the laws, nor do we have the economy that allows that to happen. And I think that's where we need to start going. Again, creating more prisoners because they're homeless, or just hiding them in ravines and gullies like it's been done here in the San Fernando Valley where I live now. They're just hiding them. And now we've got the Olympics coming in 2028. Are we just going to make them invisible but not really resolve it? So I'm concerned that we actually need to build people's homes. If we're going to push the economy in any direction, it should be to make sure that everybody's properly housed and that we have an economy that allows people to live decently in this city, in this country. Especially, I think we're the fourth or fifth largest economy. It doesn't make any sense for us to have such poverty in our midst.
Yeah, and I just want to remind our listeners who may be a little less familiar, since July 25th, and this is the New York Times reported this, that's when Governor Newsom urged California cities to dismantle the street camps that have come to define the state's homelessness crisis. And leaders in LA have been particularly resistant to Mr. Newsom making clear that they plan to deal with the issue on their own, and that includes their own timetable. Now, Governor Newsom has fired back and said, quotes, "People are done. If we don't deal with this, we don't deserve to be in office." That's what he said, tearing into a rancid, garbage-strewn campsite on state property under the 10 freeway alongside a crew of state workers. Luis, does the governor, he wants to be president, but right now he's governor. Does the governor have a point? I mean, if LA County doesn't move the needle in terms of getting people housed, then it makes it very difficult for the state to really sort of turn the corner on this. When he says, if we don't do something about this, we kind of don't deserve to be in office. Is he right about that?
Well, only in the sense of getting people housed. I think what's happening, he's looking at the surface end of it. It doesn't look good, these encampments, and it's not right. People shouldn't live in the streets. I think everybody agrees with that. But I do think that we're, at least in LA, they're trying to develop a situation where people can actually be properly housed. We got huge buildings popping up everywhere. We got office spaces that aren't being used. We got warehouses upon warehouses that are abandoned. We're not able to convert them to actual decent living spaces. And that's where I think the imagination has to go. We're not being imaginative enough, you know what I'm saying, about how to address this. And we're being pressured because it's awful to see people in the street. And drugs comes in, I get it. People don't necessarily come in mentally ill, but if you've been in the streets long enough, and I haven't been there and I've seen it, people become mentally ill. It's a very painful situation to go through. I think we have to do several things, including provide mental treatment on demand, drug treatment, make it available for everyone. We don't have these things in place. So therefore, Newsom's proposals are hollow because we don't have in place what's necessary for people to be taken off our streets, near our schools, and under the freeways.
Yeah, and to your point, according to the New York Times, after Governor Newsom issued his executive order, the LA County Board of Supervisors quickly declared that its county jails, again, would not be used to house people removed from encampments. Sheriff Robert Luna has vowed that his agency will arrest homeless campers only if they commit a crime, not simply for sleeping in public spaces. And then Lindsay Horvath, who's the current chair of the Board of Supervisors in Los Angeles County, said that the outreach workers from the county-affiliated homeless authority had already provided services and housing offers to people who lived at the encampments that Mr. Newsom was clearing. The problem with demanding immediate enforcement, that's what the county leaders say, it's that people have nowhere to go and will simply move.
That's exactly right.
And so I think this is the point that you're making. Sure, people want these encampments cleared, but we don't want this to turn into a game of whack-a-mole, where people just move to another area. And so basically, you are hiding the problem. You're just sort of moving the problem. You're kind of sweeping things under the rug as opposed to dealing with it.
Exactly. And already the county jail system has the largest number of mentally ill people in the country. We are the number one mentally ill housing group in the country. The jails and prisons have become the number one anti-poverty program in the state. So I think we really have to address the root issues, as everybody talks about it, but we're going back to it because it's still a very important issue. Proper, adequate housing, proper treatment for drug issues. Me having been an addict, my oldest son also was in drugs and did 15 years in prison. And I lost a grandson a year and a half ago, 22-year-old Joshua, to fentanyl. He passed away to fentanyl. This has impacted all of us. But instead of throwing people away, incarcerating them, we need to help really adequate, fully paid for treatment, as well as fully paid for affordable housing. You know what I'm saying? I think we got the funds. I think we got the tax base. It's just a matter of political will.
A matter of political will, and our condolences for the loss of your grandson, Joshua. Look, we're talking to the right person. You're not just an author, but you are an activist, and you are here to raise consciousness around issues related to gangs and homelessness and addiction. And we are delighted to be in conversation with you, Luis J. Rodriguez, author of It Calls You Back, an Odyssey Through Love, Addiction, Revolutions, and Healing. More with Luis when we come forward. You're listening to First Things First with Dominique DiPrima. I'm your guest host, Dr. Nicordelai Corte, and this is KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Have you heard of the 50-30-20 rule? This can help you spend and save your money wisely. So, how does it work? Distribute your dollars into 3 buckets. 50% towards needs, 30% towards your wants, and 20% goes to savings. Use this tool to help your journey to financial success. Sponsored by JP Morgan Chase & Company.
Looks like Bobby needs a ride again.
Grab the keys.
Let's take our auntie to the swap meet.
Grab the keys.
Whether you're giving rides or hauling gear, do it all in a Chevy SUV. Head to your local Chevy dealer, where well-qualified buyers get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Malibu, Colorado, Blazer, Equinox, Trailblazer, and Traverse limited models. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $28.60 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 15.8% must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 7/1/24.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment through the arts. Tia Chucha Central Cultural is on a mission to transform community in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and beyond through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. The Northeast San Fernando Valley has a population of about 500,000, the size of the city of Oakland, yet it has no bookstores, art galleries, or full-fledged cultural spaces until Tia Chuchas opened its doors in 2001. Founded by renowned poet and activist Luis Rodriguez, Tia Chuchas Cultural Center provides a year-round free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, dance, writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing talking circles. Activities also include Mexica, Aztec dance, indigenous cosmology, philosophy, and 2 weekly open mic nights, one in Spanish, the other in English. In addition, they host author readings, film screenings, and art exhibits. To express yourself, heal yourself, attend an event, or volunteer, please visit www.tiachucha.org. That's TIACHUCHA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Mark your calendar for October 22nd. It's California Clean Air Day. When you go Metro, you'll enjoy free rides and help clear the air. We can reduce pollution and create a healthier environment together. Let's all ride for a cleaner tomorrow. Start your journey at metro.net.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks Vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors. Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. J.D. Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in-store. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. For J.D. Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
You're listening to First Things First with Dominique DiPrima. I'm your guest host, Dr. Nicolai Corte, in conversation with author Luis Rodriguez. If you haven't already, you want to go out and get his book. It's called It Calls You Back, an odyssey through love, addiction, revolutions, and healing. It's also the winner of the National Book Critics Circle Award for autobiographies. And if this conversation is any indication of the journey he's going to take us on in that book, it is, I'm sure, well worth it. I'm not I would be remiss if I didn't bring attention to the fact that we talk about so many of these issues in the headlines every day. Issues related to gangs and violence and homelessness and addiction. And I don't think we do enough listening to people who have been able to dig deep and find the resources, find the treatment, build a community of folks that help them along the healing path. And Luis, that is what I find to be so compelling about your story as an author and your work as an activist.
Thank you so much. I do want to point out that when those books came out, I got some royalties. I got some money. I have to say, I was so surprised. Simon & Schuster published those books. That's a big publishing house. The impact, the attention. I was on Oprah Winfrey, Good Morning America, Entertainment Weekly. I was all over the place. I ended up doing a tour of 30 cities. I think it was 40 cities in 3 months. Anyway, it got impactful. And what I did with that money, though, I could have bought a Lexus. I could have bought a swimming pool, I guess. Writers do that. I don't know. Instead, me and my wife decided to expand Tia Chucha Press into a full cultural space and bookstore. 23 years ago, we put that money into that space, and we built it in the San Fernando Valley where my wife grew up. She grew up in Pacoima, which, as you know, was for many years a black and brown community, housing projects, gangs. Now it's majority Mexican, Central American, but there's still a significant black population. We were there. That's where she grew up. I went back to where she was from, and we found out, I think you had that ad just now, where there was 500,000 people in the Northeast Valley, 80% Mexican, Central American. And like a lot of our communities, no bookstores, no art galleries, no places for people, young people to go. We created the space. It's been active. It's grown. It's the only bookstore. It's got arts, music, dance, theater, writing. It's become a very important institution and is recognized around the world because I've taken the concept to Mexico, Central America, South America, to Europe, even to Japan. This idea that arts can save lives. Arts can be transformative and healing. So that's what we've done. The place is called Tia Chucha and Bookstore. Tia Chucha Press is still there. The heart of what we do is still publishing new writers, but we've expanded it. And I think that's a really important part of the story.
I think that's incredible. I think it's incredible. And next time I'm in Los Angeles for an extended period of time, I want to come and visit you at Tia Chucha.
Yes.
I want to see it for myself. What a tremendous social enterprise. Talk about meeting the moment. I really want to thank you for your work over many years. I have really enjoyed our time together, and it won't be our last.
Thank you so much. I had a great time. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, our time is winding down. It has been a joy to guest host First Things First with Dominique DiPrima. I want to remind you that you all can tap in to my show right here on KBLA Talk 1580. It's called A More Perfect Union. And you can tap in weekdays at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. As your host and chief White House correspondent, from the White House to your house, we are committed to bringing you expert analysis and compelling, critical conversations from leaders on the front lines. While everybody else out there might be turning up the noise, we over here are committed to offering you news, not noise, news that you can trust. And so be sure to tune in to A More Perfect Union. And make sure to pick up Luis's book. Pick up Luis's book. His books, plural, actually. Be sure to pick that up. You don't need a holiday in order to do it. You don't need any special occasion to do it. Just just go get it. It is a very moving work that you don't come across often enough. We talk so much about these issues that are trending in the news, but we don't talk to the folks who have sort of overcome these challenges. And so, again, Luis's book is called It Calls You Back, An Odyssey Through Love, Addiction, Revolutions, and Healing. His second book is called La Vida Loca, Gang Days in L.A. If you're looking for a healing journey, there you have it. When we come forward, you'll be joined with the Tavis Smiley, an author in his own right of so many books, including the re-released Covenant with Black America. So we got you covered. The Covenant with Black America, Kamala, The Motherland and Me, and Luis's books. This is all great reading to add to your book collection. It has been a joy to be in conversation with you. You're listening to First Things First with Dominique DiPrima here on KBLA Talk 1580. Tavis Smiley coming up next.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. In Illinois, a Chicago man is expected to appear in court today after he was accused of gunning down 4 people sleeping on a train. Ronnie Davis, who is African American, is charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder. Cook County State's Attorney Kim Fox says the crime was a random attack. Vice President Kamala Harris is expected to announce an economic proposal to help small businesses today. Harris will be on the campaign trail in New Hampshire, where she'll outline proposed tax deductions for small business startups. Chase Bank says a viral TikTok trend is check fraud. Over the weekend, videos on TikTok showed users depositing fake checks for large amounts of money and quickly withdrawing the cash from their accounts. Some users claim the
shades and more, all at factory direct prices. Don't pay too much for new blinds. Go to blindster.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.